Welcome back, everyone. I now hand you over to our next presenter, Gavin Banks from Celtra. Gavin, over to you.
Hi there, thank you. So I'm Gavin Banks. I'm an account executive here at Celtra. Today I'll be sharing some insights around why there needs to be, where there's a need to automate creative production for growing brands and what that automation would look like in terms of optimizing processes and outputs. I guess I'll go ahead and get started since we're at time. So let's go ahead and skip to the agenda slide here. So first, I'll talk through some trends that we're noticing in the industry, how those trends and challenges around creative production processes are resulting in a gap between the volume and the variety of creative assets needed for growing media plans and marketing initiatives versus the resources available to brands to create this content. Towards the end, I'll show you how creative automation can enable production teams to meet and exceed those goals and ultimately close this gap. So these stats that I'm about to show you were taken from SEMrush's recent survey of 1,500 content marketers in over 20 different industries. Their orgs had up to 10,000 plus employees and were involved either in like the B2C sector, B2B sector, or a hybrid sector. So last year, the most successful content marketing strategy was improving the quality of content. And a majority of consumers want more variety of storytelling approaches to reduce ad fatigue, which marketers know, right? Yet most consumers still find ads to be repetitive and stale. So why is this? Well, a lot of reasons, but according to the study, mainly it's bandwidth issues. So this is how the creative gap emerges. The main takeaway here is that brands need to continually improve the quality of their content. And this is where we hear of personalization at scale, yet it's very difficult to achieve this scale, right? So when you think of the velocity and the variety of content that creative teams have to keep up with for various marketing demands, you have content refreshes, personalization, channels and testing, it becomes impossible. This is because production resources are typically very slow and are stagnant. Collaboration is a cumbersome process. You have people working in silos, offline review and feedback. And to achieve the scale, you have to produce assets either one by one or you're just adding additional headcount. But just because you have to produce 10x more content doesn't mean you get 10x more time or money or people to create that content with, and thus the creative gap emerges. So what are the symptoms that brands have as it pertains to this creative gap? Well, there's missed deadlines, pared down media plans, limited testing, and ultimately decreased performance. The list goes on. This is because usually designers for creative production teams are working in offline design tools like Photoshop or cloud-based tools like Figma. And these tools are great at creating, pixel perfect designs, but the main challenge they don't solve for are around scale and speed. So this diagram really portrays a typical production workflow at brands. Concepts approved, then designers have to create it for all the different sizes, formats across a myriad of artboards needed for your media plans. Assets are shared via PowerPoint. They're downloading zip files, V1, V2, V3. There's multiple versions, right? You send them over Slack or Microsoft Teams or email. Then once all the feedback has been properly aligned with those corresponding creative, assets need to be added into a project management tool or examined to get final approvals and checked off before launching. But wait, there's usually a change update that occurs, right? Like marketing needs to change an offer code or legal needs to update legal disclosures across 100 plus different assets. Now, I know it's rare and probably doesn't happen for most of you folks here, but when it does, this process has to get restarted or designers have to go into each different artboard to make that change, delaying timelines by days, if not weeks. Now, aside from change updates, you have to think about your evergreen campaigns or simply trying to personalize your assets for audience targeting. You have insight into who sees your ads, age, demographics, what they like on Facebook. So how can you create an asset just for them, plus the millions of other people that you serve ads to? Well, you don't. You usually make like 1 or 2 versions, you run that continuously, and it's because that's all the bandwidth that your team has. So how do you solve that challenge? Well, here at Celtra, we would suggest automating the creative production process. So Celtra is a cloud-based self-serve platform that's focused on scaling and streamlining workflows. The portions of the platform that you're seeing now are the template builder, where your designers set the stage for content to be populated. The template builder is on the right, the content feed is on the left. In the template builder, you can create templates either from scratch within Celtra or import them directly from your design tools like Adobe. We maintain the layers and the variable elements of those layers. It's fast, it's easy, there's no coding needed. There's no limitations around what can become a template. So this is how you can ensure that you're maintaining your unique brand voice and brand aesthetic. You could select all the different sizes that you need for your media plan, and our software then extrapolates your templates across all the different permutations and formats. And you can lock in the variables so non-designers don't mess things up, right? And the real power of Celtra here is that we separate content from design. So for marketing and business stakeholders, the software helps you build or import a content repository that's managed separately from the design file. So you can tag and organize headlines, translations based off of regions, CTAs, offer codes, images, all in one place. And you can ensure that all the brand approved custom fonts and images and colors are aligned to your creative concepts. The content feed is a very similar spreadsheet interface that most people are familiar with. It allows you to create multiple versions for personalization, for testing headlines. Legal disclosures or claims are in a centralized location. And when an edit is made, it's made instantly by using the content feed across all corresponding assets automatically. So automation ensures that there's no more errors, scale can be achieved, all in insanely quick turnaround times. And since limited production capacity is typically one of the biggest roadblocks to running more tests, with this modular approach, you can duplicate and modify existing templates to run A/B testing for lower funnel creative. What you're seeing now is the Campaign Explorer. This is the third component of Celtra. This allows you to preview and provide feedback on all campaign creatives right in one place. By being able to preview across channels, sizes, and devices, you can easily streamline reviews and get that team collaboration in place to get campaigns out in time. You can comment and annotate in a central location. We also have an open API, so if you want creatives pushed to your project management software for gated approvals, we could do that as well. Now, once assets have been created, you have the ability to export your assets either as hard files like JPEGs, PNGs, TIFFs, MP4s, all for download, or directly to your DSP, your programmatic server. We also have an API so we could push them to your DAM. And we also have API connections to all the main social channels. So this enables a ton of different use cases. You could think paid digital display, social, email, lifecycle marketing, landing pages. It allows you to create hundreds of thousands of images, banners, social ads, or videos ready to go in minutes. And since we utilize an API for these pushes to your social channels, you can make mid-campaign updates without having to retraffic those assets. So every time I read this stat here, I always giggle because it seems so extreme, like we're lying, but Shopify was able to reduce their production times from 2 weeks to 2 hours, which is insane. I know, but I'll be able to demo it for you guys in a little bit to show you how creative automation works in such a short period of time. So we're going to highlight some use cases here. You have the ability to scale across multiple sizes, formats, and channels without any friction. So what that means is you could build for any media plan or strategy with formatting rules built in, like right to left versus left to right text. You can ensure that translations and localizations go seamlessly. There are no orphans or widows that you could lock into your headlines and make sure that text formatting rules are in place across all the different sizes that you need. Product or brand, say it has to be on its own line, you could lock that in. We also have auto resizing, shrink to fit rules, auto cropping, the list goes on. So what this means is that the same creative can run across multiple markets or languages. You can ensure that you have that brand consistency across markets. You can easily localize messaging, and so you're no longer spending localization resources on crafting messages, or you're spending it on crafting messages rather than the scaling tasks. You also have the ability to pull in product feeds and tie them directly to your templates to automatically create branded dynamic product ads that finally leverage your brand equity that you've invested so heavily in at the top of the funnel. You can increase the volume and variables you could test. And instead of having to wait weeks to see new versions of assets, you simply copy a line in the content feed, change the headline, press save, and now you've created thousands of new assets, which I will show you right now. So let me hop over here. So what you're seeing here is Celtra. We're in a design file, which is essentially how you could think about how you would organize a campaign in Celtra. As I mentioned earlier, there's three main components to the platform: the template builder, the feed, and then the final creatives that have been generated by marrying that content in the content feed to your templates in the template builder. This says Hannah Template. Hannah is just a fictitious beauty brand that we use here at Celtra to run demos. So I'll go ahead and hop into the template builder here. You'll notice that we have all the layers listed right here at the bottom, all the different sizes that you have for your media plan. You could add a size right here. Or if you want to create a nested size, which basically takes that aspect ratio and scales it to one of a similar aspect ratio, you can do that as well. You can also just grab and copy and paste this into all the different formats and channels that you need. We have social, we have display, basically anything that you would need for your media plans. We also have the very same hotkeys that Adobe uses. So this interface is very familiar. If you're used to the Adobe suite, what that means for your teams is that they'll be able to get up and running in the platform very easily. The last call out here is you'll see that under template, I have all these different variable elements tied to this design file. And what that means is that I can update those variable elements in the content feed. And this is the content feed. So on the left-hand side, these gray bubbles, these are just ways that we're organizing creative that you could leverage existing taxonomy that you're using to store creatives, organize creatives, and run tests. Or we could help build you guys your own taxonomy when you're onboarded with Celtra. You'll be able to preview images here, and you have all your text and your content in a centralized location. So this is how you can ensure that your pre-approved images, colors, custom fonts, text formatting rules that I mentioned earlier are all locked in. One thing to call out here is that there are 15 different rows, and each of these rows is powering 10 different creative assets. 10 different creative assets because those are all the 10 different sizes that we've selected in our template builder. So when I take that content feed and pair it to those templates, I create 150 different creative variants that you're seeing here in our campaign explorer. So you'll be able to preview all the assets that you've created. Say if you want to comment or annotate specific portions, you'll be able to do that. Your team would then get an email with a link. They jump into that link and they'll see all the creatives that you have assigned to them. You can ensure that all the tickets have been resolved in a centralized location. And you can even take this link and put it in your Slack channel, in your email, in your project management tool, and that's how you ensure you have all those gated approvals still in place. Let me just take a swig here. So I had mentioned earlier about how quickly Creative Automation enables testing, iterating, creating new versions. So I'll quickly demo that right now. So if you go into the content feed, if you want to change a headline, you could do that here. What I'll do is I'll just create an entire new set of creatives here. And so we're not generating an error. I'll create a different product type. Let's change this update or the CTA to by now. And just so that you guys can see the difference, let's change the background color to white. So then I click save. And then if you go back into your design file, you'll see that there are some outstanding creatives that you need to update, and that'll be indicated by this orange circle here. So if I click update, you'll see that 10 creatives will be generated because there are 10 different sizes tied to that row. And just like that, in about 5 seconds, I've created 10 new assets. If I would like to preview them and see what they look like, I simply hop into the campaign, explore again. And I have that base since it'll take a little bit of time to render, but you'll see that there are all the different sizes that I created with the white background and the Buy Now CTA. Let's just see, all the ones that I created, make sure that they're good to go. And of course it's rendering, but basically, there you go. You would have a filtered view of all the assets that you created, and that took me about 1 minute. So when you think about all the different sizes that you would have, right? Say you have 20 different sizes or you have multiple different formats, you can easily see how you could create hundreds of assets very quickly. So hopping back, the main takeaways here that I want to leave you guys with is that you'll have the scale to meet any volume that you need. And you can let Celtra resize, reformat for you. So there are no more mundane tasks that bog down your designers. You could quickly manage change updates without restarting the design process or utilizing design resources. You could quickly create net new concepts from pre-approved templates and brand assets, ensuring that you're maintaining your brand voice and brand governance on your campaigns, and ultimately improve creative performance, enabling more A/B testing, and finally implement personalization at scale. So there's my contact information. We're also an exhibitor here. If you want to hop into our booth and use our chat function, we also have contact information there to follow up if you guys have any outstanding questions. So thank you so much.